it doesn't seem to matter because we still have never learned the lesson that who we are as a human is worth more than what we do. I have been cared for more distinctly, both emotionally, physically, by people in drug user activism than anybody else. I mean, they will not let me be sick. They will not let me be fucked up. Hepatitis C slowly robs you. And we think it's okay to... I thought, oh, okay, I'll get it cured here and there, later. No. It does damage over time. You may not see it, you may not feel it, but you will feel it later. This can be cured, and it's not your father's disease. Like, that's what I tell people now. It's like, it's not the disease our fathers had. You're not going to get jaundiced and die with your liver all sticking out the side of your body, right? The cure is simple and easy to get.
You're listening to Narcotica, a podcast giving you the straight dope about drugs and the people who use them.
It's known as the silent killer, a pathogen that lies dormant in the bloodstream for many years before manifesting in serious health problems. It's estimated that as many as 4 million people live with chronic hepatitis C, and that up to half don't even know they have it. We're talking about the most common bloodborne disease in the country. Once tied to blood transfusions in the 70s and 80s, the primary group now contracting and dying from this disease is people who use drugs. And it has been for a very long time. Over 60% of new Hep C diagnoses report injection drug use as a risk factor. I myself spent 17 years living with the knowledge of having the disease, not wanting to take the treatments on offer because they were something like chemotherapy. And when more modern and less health-disrupting cures became available, I just wasn't able to afford the $70,000 price tag. But even after a market war between pharmaceutical companies caused the price to come down, many traditional medical systems still imposed major hurdles. Things like sobriety requirements, complex insurance authorizations, and pervasive medical stigma. Medicaid in many states required things like 3 to 12 months of documented sobriety before they'd approve coverage. Patients had to undergo routine urine drug screenings, and a single positive test would result in immediate denial or disruption of care. Policies like this systematically excluded people who inject drugs, the population at the highest risk of transmitting the virus, and they directly undercut public health efforts to curb its spread, resulting in outbreaks. I'm Aaron Ferguson, and you're listening to Narcotica. We are a listener-supported show and greatly appreciate the support of our subscribers. If you'd like to help keep us on the air and providing a clear signal on drugs and the people who use them, please check the show notes below for ways to support. Today, we're speaking with Nick Voyles. Nick runs a syringe service program in Indiana, one of the states hit hardest by Hep C outbreaks. Apart from being a close friend and confidant of mine, Nick is the executive director of Indiana Recovery Alliance, a peer-led syringe service program in Indiana. He's the treasurer of North Carolina Survivors Union and hepatitis C liaison and leadership team member, along with me, for the National Drug Users Union, the National Survivors Union. Fueled by his experiences with IV drug use, hepatitis C, incarceration, and homelessness, Nick is the national leader and activist focused on medications for opioid use disorder reform and viral hepatitis elimination. He's a co-author of the Methadone Manifesto, published in the American Journal of Public Health. He's a proud Hep C survivor and has served his community in numerous capacities, including as crisis management coordinator. We're just honored to have such a close friend on the show today. And now we bring you Nick Voyles. Great to have you on the show, Nick.
Thank you, Aaron. It's good to be here.
And with me as well is my co-host, who you all know, Troy Farah. What's up?
Hey, Aaron. I'm okay. I have a little bit of cold today, so if I sound congested, that's why. But I'm here.
It's much appreciated. Yeah, it's good to see you. It's good to see everybody. You know, it's crazy times, and it's important for us to connect and keep going with this show. I've been wanting to have Nick on for quite some time, and so this is really exciting for me just to be able to have a chat with a good friend. And I think our listeners will find a lot useful here in this conversation. We're going to be focusing primarily on hepatitis C treatment access, but also drug user organizing and the role of drug users in hepatitis C elimination and treatment access through methadone clinics and things like that. But just to get started, Nick, can you let us know, give us a little potted history of like how you got involved with all this type of work in hepatitis C treatment, drug user organizing, and all that?
Yeah, sure. I think, I was an injection drug user. I went to prison, got out of prison, and felt wonderful. I got checked up. Had a horrible nurse doctor who informed me I was dying of it. Didn't know what it was, so went to get checked out. Found out I wasn't dying of it, but found out that, like, the medicine I had to take was horrible. Got on the medicine, and the body just ripped my body apart, guys. I mean, it just tore a piece up. I'm still wearing a hose because of the medicine.
And this was the old-ass, like, interferon shit, right?
Yeah. So it was called pegylated interferon and ribavirin treatment. And when the bottle came, it said made in Ireland. I was like, oh, I'm fucked. So the actual bottle said made in Ireland. I was like, oh no, my people made it. We're hit.
Shit.
And so what it is, it's like chemical chemotherapy. It's like you're sick for a year. So I got through with that, and it ripped, fucked up my body, fucked up everything. But I thought, hey, I'm good. Well, no, that didn't work. So they're about to put me on this consensus version, which means instead of a shot a month, it was a shot a fucking day, along with these 6 pills of this ribavirin. And this Paul Quill, this guy who's not pretty famous for this, happened to be there in Indianapolis and said, don't take it. So I didn't take it. I don't know why I trusted him, but I said, okay. And the DEA, direct-acting antivirals, and Harvoni came out just 6-7 months after that. I never could get on it because I never had enough money to get it, and because back then you had to have $100,000 and a fiber F2 score.
Yeah, that was crazy, right?
Yeah. Do you remember that shit? I mean, it was like, they're like, you're not sick enough to have this medicine.
Yeah.
It's fucking bullshit, dude. And the funny part is, it was like, hepatitis C was so fucking tied up in sex, and like I always thought it was like a sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah, same.
And so still to this day we get that shit, anyways. So I go there and I meet this guy, and he works with Dan Big, and I meet Dan Big, and they give me this drug Verpos, which is Harvoni with Gilead's intellectual property to it. So like all the other generics, people didn't want to take them because they'd fuck them up. No one knew it was inside. They didn't know how the pill was made. See, they can get the ingredients, but they can't get the binding or whatever it was that made them work so well. And so Verpos did. So I was cured.
How long did you have it before, like between when you found out you had it till you got cured? How long was it?
Well, like 7-8 years of them saying fuck you to me. You should see, I got this folder, man, and it's got like every letter they wrote back to me, every time I asked for shit, every time I begged and pleaded. I once had a guy give me $20,000. He opted. He said, I'll pay for $20,000 of it. No one would help. I later found out that was a price thing that Gilead did on purpose, which blew my mind. But so in order to do this with this dastardly dude I made this deal with, I agreed to go to this NVHR, the National Viral Hepatitis Roundtable, turn participants into, turn patients into advocates. And this little girl walks up there on the stage and starts talking. And I'd never heard anybody speak like that before, like us, like my people speak in my home. You know what I mean? Like in our group. And it was Louise Vincent. And I met a couple other people there, and it was done. And then as soon as I found out people were fighting for this, and what it was really that my conspiracy theories in my head were right.
Yeah. We've had Louise on the show here, and for folks' info, Nick and I are on the leadership team of the National Drug User Union, and we worked with Louise Vincent for years.
We're also really close friends there.
We're all very close friends, exactly. And I mean, being a drug user activist, it's a different kind of thing. And we consider ourselves lucky to have something to fight for. There's kind of 2 categories of people who use drugs. There's people who are kind of isolated and just hiding drug use from everyone around them. Then there's people who have a community of people that they get and use drugs with, but it's just about kind of survival. And then there's drug user activism, which is a totally different thing. It's like people who use drugs that have survived long enough to fight back, and we're trying to get rid of the drug war. So when I met Nick and I was like, holy shit, you had Hep C, and I had it too for a long time before I finally got cured. And but Nick is doing amazing work to get people treated and connected to services. How did you get involved with doing all that, like running SSP, getting people treated?
I had a guy here, and he just wasn't just wasn't a nice person, you know? I mean, he was good at what he did, but I didn't get along with him. And he was running this program that I thought, geez, I could do so much with this thing. Like, he was putting out 1,000 Narcan a month. I was like, I could do 4,000. You know what I mean? Like, I just had the oomph. You know, like, my whole life, we'd done shit. Like, my mom was like one of them social justice people, as you well know, Aaron. So we talked about this where we had hands across America, harmonic convergence. So I've been doing this stuff since I was a child, you know? I also so used to growing up with drug users and families and these, like, different family groups. You had a different family group. I had a deadhead family group. You know how it is when you're off the government kind of radar. You live a different world. You know, I didn't have a SSI number until I was 12. You know what I mean? Like, and so meeting you was cathartic as fuck for me because it wasn't maybe the same life, but it was mirrored so much of mine. You know, you were off grid. I was off grid. Like, you knew how to do hypervigilance because you had to do it your whole life. And you moved in a way that I was comfortable with. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people have to say, well, yeah, we are as drug users, we always have to have many faces, you know? And one of the things that really got me was you guys wanted to fight. So if you really want to think about it, like, you guys are what got me to fight and what got me to fight hard as hell. I never really fought for much. I always felt like I was left out. Or I always felt like I'd be the last guy out there. Everybody'd run away, and I'm like, okay, why am I the only one out here? It's crazy, though. I remember real vividly all of us getting on, like, our first thing together and talking about Hep C with you and with Louise, and it just blew my mind that, like, you guys are all out here doing this. We're all doing it in our own locations, but I think when we finally came together, it was the first time I think I ever felt any sort of drive to, like, do a 9 to 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I think hepatitis, I always want to fight the drug war, but this thing that people will let people be sick, you have the cure and you won't give it to them. It was right. It was a fucking crime, man. Yeah. You're sitting over there saying the same thing. I'm saying the same thing. Yeah. And I think that's why those first 3 years were so powerful for all of us. Well, I mean, really, it was like a year of getting to know each other, and then we boosted in. But, like, if you look at hepatitis C, the second we all entered in, it went exponential.
Yeah, I want to get into that. But, like, first of all, I just want to say thank you for sharing your story, because it is an outrage. It is a fucked up situation that we have a cure for this condition, and then we just let people suffer with it. And it's like a lot of drug policy, like harm reduction stuff, depending on where you are, it kind of is just like paternalistic and, you know, oh, you have HIV, so we want to prevent that from spreading into the further community. It's not really about giving drug users autonomy or healthcare. It's really just about making sure that you don't have an epidemic of a communicable disease. And, like, hepatitis is completely looked over when it compared to HIV. And I think Indiana is like ground zero for that. Like, you know, Mike Pence used to be the governor of Indiana, and, like, he had to be dragged by the nose to really open these syringe access programs, and he eventually relented because he was able to convince.
He had to pray for a day first. He had to pray for a day.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So, like, you know, can you tell us a little bit about, like, what the drug scene is like in Indiana and how harm reduction fits into that picture there?
So first of all, you have to understand that, like, we are a very different state. When I say that, like, it's not negative or positive. It's just we're different people here. Like, I try to tell people, like, we're conservative, but we're not conservative in different ways. I've been all over. I've never found people like people in Indiana, you know? And the idea here is, like, do your drugs, shut up, and don't bother anybody. Go to work, shut up, don't tell anybody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's all tongue-in-cheek. I'll say that the drug scene here is horrible because Bloomington, where I live, is nestled in Indiana. And it's kind of like the hippie enclave of Indiana. And it's okay. Indiana's okay with it being that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, okay, let's have this one place where, like, send my kids to college and they can kind of wild out for a second. And then they come back to their senses and be good white people.
It's like Austin or something.
It really is. My sister's lived there. It's really weird like that. But, like, when you have these towns like this, what breeds is, like, the worst part of that complacency. You know what I mean? So you have people who've been in office for 30 years and are never leaving. So like, the climate, the drugs here are, like, basically the cops bust enough to make sure they're doing their job and leave enough. And I think that the hardest part about all of it is that Indiana doesn't care. Like, you are very understood. I did a year in prison for 3 grains in the bottom of a baggie.
Sounds like Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't bat an eyelash. So For drug users here, I never had tattoos. I made sure my hair was cut short. I was like a deadhead, and I still kept my shit short because I knew I had to pass everywhere. My whole life was a long con. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the drugs here are gross. They filter down from Chicago, some from St. Louis. They get to Indianapolis, and you might be lucky to get someone who gets good drugs there. But for the most part, they get cut to fucking pieces, you know? So, like, when people came here before and they'd get drugs, they're like, God damn, this won't hold me. I'm like, yeah, you just have to do, like, a gram shot. They're like, what?
Yeah.
And I've seen people do that shit, dude. I've seen a dude fill grams, spoon up with nasty dope, you know? And that's what Indiana's like. Now, you do have, the one good part of this is that we do have, like, I say gangsters in the sense of, like, the 60s and 70s. We have gangsters who came here and made it was gangster paradise. Real high-level drug dealers who, like, stopped here, quit dealing, but there's still ways kind of came through. So Bloomington really was, like, the pot mecca. Every deadhead knew they could get some weed in Bloomington, right? You couldn't get anywhere in Indiana, but you could fucking go to Bloomington, and there's a couple guys there who could find you weed, you know? And to us as deadheads in the days, that was everything, dude. That was everything, you know? So, Indiana's fucked up. Our politics are fucked up. I think that the worst part is they're just so lockstep with these fucking horrible people. I didn't think the people believe it, but crystal fascism is alive and well here, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. So, well, I was wondering if you feel like it's changing at all. Like, is there progress being made on this? Like, I know that there's lots more treatment for hepatitis now, and maybe there's less stigma towards it, and maybe like a little bit more, something moving in the right direction on this. Maybe not.
It's really hard to explain this. Like, yes, we'll see some positive moves. Then we get someone in who, like, we all thought Braun was going to be very loose, very, like, cleft bleeding, you know? And it didn't turn out that way. He actually, he did a motor bill with us. The first one me and Aaron really worked on that was with Senator Markey, and he was a co-sponsor, Aaron. And I felt like, wow, we got a recovery guy here. We can work with that. At least we can save lives. He hasn't done anything bad or good. It's just like, it just seems to fall party lines. And I was really impressed with him on this other bill that, like, it seemed like, okay, you're a fucking hardline Republican, and you're saying, no, we are not going to have this happen here. You know what I mean? People are not going to fucking, people are going to get access to methadone. And that's one good thing about Indiana. We do have a lot of methadone in Indiana. They have taken that. We have worked hard on that, you know? It's just real caustic and shitty.
Yeah, I want to drill down on that, like, because I've seen some stats around, like, methadone clinics, and I don't think there's anywhere in the world that you get that many people with hepatitis C in one place as at a methadone clinic. Like, yeah, how many clinics are actually treating people? Or
no, I don't think any of them are. What they say they are, but that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're saying, here, take this card, these people can cure you. But that's not what needs to happen there. Because nobody even understands that the device, like, they don't even tell the people, like, hey, you know, you share water, you might get this disease. Or, hey, this disease can cause these problems you're experiencing. So basically what it is, yeah, we treat here, but they just give referrals to other people to treat someplace else. So it's out. You know what I mean? Top all that, I'll say, when I started, we were at a hugely high overdose rate. Me and a couple other people in Bloomington and the Overdose Lifeline made this kind of pact to saturate our place. You know what I mean? And we were the only people who brought and kept down those overdoses. You know what I mean? Like, up to date. And most of that from hard work from people that are not just me, but...
Yeah. Nick runs a drug user-led syringe service program in the heart of, you know, Bible Belt, Indiana. And, we got mad respect for that. How do you make that work, man? Like, how do you get funding? How do you get people treated?
So this is the funniest part about all this. So this is my lament about all this. And this is where drug users get fucked. And Troy, kind of what you said, and Aaron, you always already know this, but, like, this is the rub with all of it. They don't know how to cure this shit. They don't know what they're doing. None of them. When I looked at the state plan before I got here, they couldn't even do it because it was so stupid. I mean, it was just dumb shit, you know? It was just nobody had talked to anybody about this. So we made our suggestions, you know, and I actually used Louise Vincent and me's plan, which was, we concocted this plan that we believed was the best way to treat hepatitis C. And what it was is you had to have a drug user to get buy-in, right? Then you need, like, a professional to do the testing. The reason you need the professional for the testing, and the reason you don't want the peer or whoever, or the person who's lived experience to do it, is you want to put all the liability on the nurse. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole thing was skewed, like, save drug users as much as we could and put the liability on people who have robust liability insurance, So what it was is there'd be one like nurse or coordinator, and then there'd be a person who could get the trust buy-in. So like what we did is, if it was me, and let's say Bob was my worker, I'd go into my community and I'd talk to people, and I'd set up a time, and I'd give them money, and I'd funnel them in there, and I'd get what I could. And then when they went there, they would be already being, like helped to do this. But we were honest about it, So the idea is that they now call it Care Connect, which is not what we called it, but we pitched it to the state. A whole bunch of other components I'm not going to go over it, but like the whole idea is ending in Cepheid, Gene Expert, telehealth, and so they didn't have to go through all the rigmarole most people have to go through. Well, lo and behold, they fucking took that program. They told us they couldn't do it with us, and they did it on their own. So there's still literally a program called Connect to Cure that we started. It was our idea. We came to them with it, and they just like, fuck these guys, we can do it better, and took it over. That's Indiana. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think here's a rub, Aaron. Like, this shit is. I just think that the whole thing is such a fucking goddamn piece of shit. You're talking about the clinics. We literally could cure everybody in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And more people have HCV than ever have HIV. You see what I'm saying? I saw 73 people, there were 38 positives. New positives. And that's when I started that grant.
Shit.
Now they got dumbasses doing it and it plummeted down. So they think things plummeted down. That's why I'm getting kind of emotional about it. It's just like, they literally are skewing the data so it looks like they're bringing this hepatitis C shit down. It's not fucking going down. They're just not reaching the people. And the people they're reaching are not fucked up, and don't care about it.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's good to fight, but it always ends up in that weird place. Always up in that weird, uncomfortable place with Indiana.
Yeah. It seems like syringe access is kind of moving backwards in Indiana, at least from my perspective. I'm in Illinois, so we're kind of neighbors, but I'm like on the other side of the state. So, but it does seem like, the very, very reluctantly under Mike Pence, they put up some syringe access programs, and then in the last several years, I've just heard news about them getting shut down or losing funding.
So, if you're really working this program, right? If you're really trying to do help drug users, and I don't believe that most people are. I really don't believe that most people actually have that in their minds. I think that they've found an easy job. I think they're in recovery, and I think it's cool to be a drug user.
Yeah. No shit.
Like you told me, if I walk around the block with a goat, I am a goat walker for life. You know what I mean? I mean, it just kills me. Like, the whole thing is so preposterous to me from the way I was brought up, It's just like, I remember talking to Aaron about this for the first time and really connecting with someone who was like in the kind of vein that I was in. It was just like, no shit, you felt the same way.
Yeah.
I think that the big thing that we've learned, at least, is that the people that aren't fucking off or aren't doing this for a paycheck don't have a choice, Troy. I don't have a choice. I have no fucking choice. When I heard her talk, when I heard Aaron, when I realized that I had people that I could invest my life with, they're fucking done. You know what I mean? It's done. The reason I bring this up is when they came out with that thing where they made us a 1-for-1, and then they made it, we had to ask for ID, and they gave no guidance. So now they show the ID to the LCSW. That's it. So there's no way they can ever find out who's here. We don't record it. We don't do anything. So it's HIPAA protected and CLIA protected, right? We're really good at what we do, Before this, we started dropping syringe use on our own. So we had seen a plummet way before this took over that was significant. And we're getting ready to do some research papers on it. And then this happens. And I swear to God, you know what's going to happen, Aaron. They're going to say that because they made it 1-for-1, the syringes went down.
Yep.
I thought. Then I go to talk to all these SSP people, and they're like, we weigh our syringes. Just all this preposterous bullshit that, here I've been counting single syringes out to make sure that I knew my shit was all honest. You know what I mean? And then people just weigh in the shit. It's just fucking shit like that. So, they're here. We'll work around them. And yet again, we'll have to work, sideways with them.
That kind of brings us to the whole issue of drug user organizing. And, it's fucked up how institutionalized harm reduction can be in certain places. And it's really, at the end of the day, people who use drugs have to look out for themselves and each other, right?
Yeah. I was sitting on a panel the other day, and I was like, the whole thing was supposed to be about trust. They asked us, what do you want to talk about on this panel? And I was like, trust. Because Louise used to bring that up all the time. That's the first thing that gets skipped, right? And so what I said was, I was like, okay, How many of you guys trust people who use drugs? How many of you guys trust a person who uses drugs to give them a job or to give them money? But then you want a drug user to trust you. It's like nobody trusts us, but then everybody wants us to trust them. You know?
All these things we think we can count on, we can't because they strip them down and make them irrelevant for us. I think that speaks widely to what we're talking about. Disenfranchisement of drug use and the disenfranchisement of looping us with other sex. Like, they're always looping us with the dregs of society, They try to do with homeless people. No, not all homeless people using drugs. But, yeah, I could talk for hours.
That's been what this show really started about, right? Was like challenging the popular narrative about people who use drugs. And, Narcotica, I think, has tried to do that more and more over the years. And, like, we've tried to have more people who use drugs on the show.
Hard.
It's hard. Yeah, it really is. And, like, the only way I could be emboldened to do that is to have, to be part of a group of people who do that, because we risk so much, and we risk our lives. I mean, if you doubt that, look at Louise's life. I mean, she literally gave her life for this work, and...
So I don't know if you know this, Troy, but me and Aaron and Robert went to go see Louise when she died, right before she died. And we'd all been close forever. We talk on the phone all the fucking time. Our lives are a mess with each other,
Yeah.
Seeing her fucked me up more. I mean, I talked to her every night, and still seeing her fucked up. And I looked at Aaron's face when he saw her, and you could just see the love and the whiteness of his face grow over. That here's this person who's literally the most powerful person we know, I mean, you can talk about raw power. That woman had fucking streaks coming off her. When she hit fire, you couldn't get away. You know what I mean? And then she died, and it seemed like no one gave a fuck. Because all these people just glad-handed her. They weren't her friend. They didn't care. They cared what she could bring them or this or that. And that's harmless. That's kind of our core right now. It's like, you get us who are dying inside because this woman left. We don't care about the rest of her advocacy. Or we do, but like, what we care about is this poor woman we love. That's like our best friend in the world. And we go see her, and she looks like a caricature of herself. And then there's Don, another really close friend of ours, and he's just broken. Watching the person he loves die, that she didn't have to fucking die. She didn't die of an overdose. She didn't die of drugs. She died of poor medical treatment. And we proved it time and time again. I'm not going to go off on this just too much, but like, being in that place, it was also the most horrible time and one of the most wonderful feelings. That like here, at the end of someone's life, all she wanted was the people that she called family in the place that she had set up to be a family place. Had Aaron walked in with 3 kids and I walked in with 4 kids, she wouldn't even talk to us. She would just talk to the kids. You know what I mean? Like, just like any friend would, And so I remember thinking in that moment when we were there that, like, if nothing else, like these small moments have created so much momentum outward from it, and that we talk now, Troy, we speak to each other. I think that's the danger. That's the change. It's a change in Indiana. It's a change in everywhere. It's a change in Hep C. It's a change in everything. People think it's this, it's strange. We talk to each other.
Yeah. Well, you almost said that's the danger, because that really is. That's the danger for the drug warriors, is that because they want people who use drugs to be isolated and cut off and completely depressed, lonely. And when we start to connect with each other and we start to get a sense of hope without the goal of sobriety and without the goal of abstinence, we still find hope and we still find refuge in each other. That's fucking dangerous, right? Because that goes against everything that goes against everything that it's supposed to be, which is for us to go off by ourselves, Yeah,
and it's funny. It's like the 2 things I was told when I got to the union. Don't you ever get another union member to send, give, or sell you drugs, or you'll be out of here on their fucking ass. That was so heartwarming to me that, like, a core of our core was to protect ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So, like, you couldn't call, even if I had 8 miles of heroin, not one of those people would ever call it for me if they were sick to death. They wouldn't ever do it. It would never come out of their fucking lexicon, because the movement to empower drug users to be free was more important than any of that bullshit. You know what I mean? And the other one was that don't be blindly loyal, be loyal because you trust. And it was the first time I've ever been in a structure that I could say to people, I trust the leadership that I have here. They speak the things and they're correct in the way I want to be. And I think that has gotten out a little bit and changed things, but I think that the machine against it is huge, as you well know.
Absolutely. I really like what you were talking about, that it's about the community, it's about the people coming together about this, and because, in a lot of I work in media and politics and stuff, so it's like a lot of the stuff that I encounter is like this kind of wishy-washy democratic stuff. A couple of years ago, harm reduction became important. They still see drug users as a burden, and like they want to get them off the streets and like just make them solve their problems, and like it dehumanizes them in so many ways.
No, I'll get you out of that. You just said on one of the most perfect things. I don't even think it's bipartisan. Or I don't think it's partisan. I know that the left kind of treats us a little better, but like I've talked to senators who made more sense. If the drug war's bad, why don't we just get you guys drugs? Okay, great. And you'd be happy? Everything would be great? Yeah, we just work. So you look at me and Aaron and like, what are we doing? Are we out getting high all day? I work till I fall down. Aaron works, fathers a child till he falls down.
Louise worked herself to death.
And we watched that. And I think the funny part about it is Dinah once said something to me, and it took me years to figure it out, but she said, don't lie to the family you made. Because the family you made is the one you chose. And if you lie to the people that you chose as your family, and that's more horrific and more, it's more changing. And what she meant was like, if you're in this movement and we're all here by not by want, but by necessity, and you're here and you find a place of sacredness, you find a place of like true family, and if you lie to them, then you are every other fucking bullshit harm reductionist in the field. You know what I mean? And which you're every other bullshit asshole in the field. This thing is beautiful in its creation, but it can be damaged very quickly. And when I think of that, when she said that, I was like, we're all a bunch of fucked up people trying to help people. It usually doesn't bode well unless you're drug user activism. And I don't know quite why that is, but I will tell you, I've been cared for more distinctly, both emotionally, physically, by people in drug user activism than anybody else. You know what I mean? I mean, they will not let me be sick. They will not let me be fucked up. And I think what you're saying, Troy, speaks to just that. And I think all of us want that. You know what I mean? I think the most powerful thing we can do, Troy, just to go back to what you're saying, the most powerful thing we can do is like when that's the union asking for a drug user. And then my whole response was this old Shiloh Ajama thing where I said, well, I might have used yesterday, I might be using today, and I might use tomorrow. But I'm not going to tell you that, and you're just going to have to understand that that's what a drug user means. I might never use. You know what I mean? And then Van Asher, who I'm just giving him the fucking credit because he's the one who told it to me, which I thought was the best thing. He said, someone asked him if he's a drug user. He said, well, let me ask why you're asking. Are you wanting to go split a bindle with me outside and party? Or you want to like set me up as a drug user? Because then everything I say from that point on is skewed by my drug use. And he says it's a lot more intentional, a lot more. That's where we're at.
That's an issue with like I think identity politics too, because like who you are becomes louder than what you're saying. So like the second you say, "Yeah, I'm a drug user," like nothing else that comes out of your mouth even gets heard. It's like, oh, this is one of those people, and they can't be right in the head, or that nothing they say can be sane or helpful or useful, and I can't learn anything from them because they're high. And it's like, when did we get to a point where who somebody is louder than what they're saying?
And I hate to say it, Aaron, but all those people who are saying that are using something. I don't give a fuck what you say. I know some people are anti-drug people who are drinking themselves to death every day. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, you picked a good one, buddy. And that's the thing, you guys. Where does it stop? So for the 7 since humans have been around, they've used one thing or another thing to either subjugate, make people feel down so they feel good. It's like the age-old problem, you know? I just can't believe people fucking don't see it and go, well, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, that's stupid. So where do we go? Even if we got our rights back, where do we go? What's the next thing they're going to do this for? You see what I'm saying? Nazi Germany, Rome, all these things. Like, it doesn't seem to matter because we still have never learned the lesson that who we are as a human is worth more than what we do. Do you know what I mean? And for so long, society's like, oh, there's Bob the Builder. There's Tom the stonemason. And that defined a person. But that's bullshit. That doesn't define a person anymore. You can be a stonemason, a bricklayer, and be a fucking baseball star, you know? And so I think if we don't very quickly move away from that kind of thinking, that partisan bullshit thinking that caste systems get created on, and look more to utilizing our informal structures, then we're fucked. You know, and I think that's what drug users do best, is we use informal structures more than formal structures. I think that's why we succeed.
Yeah, I'm always impressed by the creativity of people who use drugs, you know, and being able to network in a way that builds like these, you know, communities that can resist like state power in a way that is like, you know, they're still trying to destroy us and still using drugs as a pretense for everything. It's fucked up and it's kind of bleak right now, but you know, talking to people like you is exactly what gives me hope.
It's all of us. I've learned this, man. Me and Aaron, you know, as like white guys in the field for a while, I felt really shitty because it seemed like the focus was on anti-racism, and I couldn't figure out how to fit into that puzzle. Right? I never felt racist.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be racist, but we were looking at new paradigms, structural racism, stuff like that. And one of the things that one of my favorite people on earth, Will Millier Sr., told me is that he was like, I don't know if you got a chance to meet him, but what a fucking powerful dude. And we're sitting outside one day and we're protesting the DEA. And I'm looking at him, it's the first time real new. It's like the third thing I've done, right? And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are we protesting the DEA for? I don't want those dudes to take pictures of me. Like, I know what these people do, you know? And he goes, stand on the side with me and we'll smoke. And I was like, okay. So I stayed up real late smoking with him and shit, just shooting the shit, talking. And he very carefully stayed to the side and then went home quickly. And when I asked him, he said, I'm black. Are you serious, Nick? And I was like, and so from then on, I started to look at things a little bit differently. And then it started to change and shift. But it always stayed in the back of my head that, like, this man understood he understood the racism piece. He knew I was white. He knew I was part of structural racism. But he also knew that I don't know what he knew, but just he gave me this pitch to look at it one way altered, right? And as he looked at it, he said, he started talking about fucking Ho Chi Minh. He started talking about fucking, like, these amazing things that, like, I had never thought of Ho Chi Minh as the way he placed it to me. And so I quoted Minister Farrakhan to him on this great article with Mike Wallace. And I think he couldn't believe that a white kid knew what that was. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Minister Farrakhan is telling Mike Wallace that, like, Mike Wallace says, Nigeria is the most corrupt country in the world. And Minister Farrakhan turns around and he's like, Mr. Wallace, and just rips him with fucking shit and crushes him in a heartbeat. And unfortunately, I think that's what we need to be doing. You know what I mean? I think we're not loud in the streets. We need to be showing the audacity and stupidity of what this shit is. You know what I mean? It's stupid. It's fucking a waste of time for the human being. It is constant bullshit. It's about money. Stop. Go get money somewhere else. Give us our drugs. Go be drug dealers. We'll give you money. Great. Ha ha. You know, like, do you see what I'm trying to say? It's the same thing with noses, faces, colors, anything. And I think that's what keeps me fighting and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you're still fighting, dude. Like, getting people connected to Hep C treatment is just an amazing thing. I remember, like, getting cured for me. You know, you have all these different, like, treatments for substance use, right? You know, there's addiction treatment, there's this treatment, there's opioid treatment, but none of it really gives you anything to come away from. And when I got cured for hepatitis C, it was like, man, I actually got something out of healthcare. Like, you know, like, I'm actually going to live longer. I can walk away from this saying, like, I actually got something out of it other than, like, theoretical fluff and ideas and spirituality and nebulous concepts and nonsense that doesn't benefit my everyday life. Like, I took this drug twice a day for fucking 2 weeks, and this virus is gone from my body. And it was like, you know, I lived with the weight of having Hep C for fucking more than a decade and thinking I could never afford the cure. And to wake up one day after several weeks of treatment and just be like, damn, that ain't a thing for me anymore, dude. Like, that was fucking huge.
The feeling, you remember what that felt like when the virus leaves your body after those days? You get this feeling. Like, it's not like a buzz or anything, but I remember feeling like, wait a minute, I have a little energy this morning. I hadn't realized how fucked up Hep C was. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize the fatigue it was causing me because it wasn't, like, poignant in that point. You know what I mean? And I just willed it away. But I don't know about for you, but I remember talking to most, like, a lot of people about those. It's like, maybe it's just psychosomatic. I don't know, Aaron. But when I got done, I was like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. There's like a sense of triumph over, you know, because we didn't bargain for this shit. We got it probably because of a tainted drug supply, the inaccess to sterile syringes, all the structural issues that pushed us down. And we were supposed to die from this shit. And, like, science saved us. You know, and access to this shit saved us. you know, and like the literal drug got rid of this virus, and it's like, man, so we can keep fighting and we can keep living, you know, and man, I'm so humbled and appreciative of the work that you do, connecting people to this treatment, giving them sterile syringes, giving them a place to work as drug users in Indiana. I mean, Texas is a lot similar, dude. It sucks. It's fucking tough. But when I look at you and what you're doing there, it encourages me to keep doing what I'm doing here. And I think that's kind of what all of us need to do right now, is just look at each other and our struggles in different areas and remind ourselves that like now is the time to dig in and define our actual movement. You know, the movement's not defined by its success. It's defined by how it deals with adversity and how it deals with pushback. So you encourage me every day, dude. Thank you for that.
You know, you do that to me. We rip off each other we meet almost every week, so me and Aaron get to see a lot of it. Well, we don't get to see each other. We get to have like passing conversations. I remember when I first got on this call, and we were already using these Zoom calls before anybody else. So when the COVID thing happened, we're cool. We're on every night on these things. It wasn't shit for us. And I remember me and Aaron were talking about how many meetings we were on in a day. And I remember once Louise told me I had done 2 meetings together, and she goes, "Don't talk to me until you pull 4 off, Nick." I said, "What did you say to me?" She goes, "Don't talk to me about that till you can pull 4 meetings at the same time off." And so I actually tried that. I thought she was serious, and she was kind of. But so I'm signing up for all these multiple things, you know. And I realized kind of the fallacy in that, and also the energy that like something intrigued me enough to literally try to get on 4 fucking meetings and remain relevant to each meeting at the same time. You know what I mean? And just the audacity of not the meeting stuff, just the idea that like I'm energized, I feel purposeful. This is what life is. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter about job. I am doing what I am. My work makes me happy. And I think we lost so much of that pride. So much of that pride in ourselves. So much of that self-esteem. You know, as we look through these fucked up politics and these fucked up people, that keeps me going every day. And you talk about inspiring me. I remember me and Aaron were on a panel together once. And Aaron was getting fired up, right? And Aaron gets real fired up sometimes, right? And so I could see him getting fired up. Someone said something he didn't like or something. And then he got stopped for a minute. When we started to speak, he was real quiet and calm and collective. But what he said was listing this fucking asshole apart. I mean, he just shredded him like a fucking pinata. I mean, the dude didn't have something he could say back. He was moded. You couldn't respond to it. And the guy was just like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Yeah, motherfucker. Don't put us on the same panel, you piece of shit." It just felt good, you know? The guy wasn't a bad person.
So real quick, I just want to ask, you know, for listeners, you know, if somebody is using drugs, and what should they know about hepatitis, and like, if they just found out that they have it or something like that, you know, what should they know?
Go to your syringe service program. Don't go to your doctor. I mean, go to your doctor if you have to. Like, if you don't want to go to your doctor and tell them that you're a drug user, go to syringe service programs. Go to another state. We are savvy about this now. You know, we know what we're doing. Or you go to your doctor. I mean, they're all pretty around right now. Also, hepatitis C slowly robs you. And we think it's okay to... I thought, oh, okay, I'll get it cured here and there later. No. It does damage over time. You may not see it. You may not feel it. You will feel it later. So I would say 3 things. Get tested every 3 months. Don't use any rigs that anybody else is using, if you can, and don't use their water. So first of all, think of points where blood can contact each other, right? And use nothing where blood can ever touch each other. Understand that it's okay that you're using drugs. Not okay. I'm not saying I'm condoning it, but understand you're not a piece of shit because you're using a drug. You know, something in your brain changed. I remember the SRIs and all these other ones have these horrible side effects. And we don't say shit about those things. That literally you can die if you get it off them. But we treat drugs like that. And so understand that A, you're amazing. You're a beautiful part of our world. And that like this can be cured. And it's not your father's disease. Like that's what I tell people now. It's like, it's not the disease our fathers had. You're not going to get jaundiced and die with your liver all sticking out of the side of your body, right? The cure is simple and easy to get. And like, after I tell everybody after they get cured, it's like, remember to tell your family. Because that's our family, your friends, whatever. I learned more by talking to educating my family as we went through the process. Do you see what I'm saying? And so going through the process, talk to somebody about it. Because that's what humanizes it, you know? And then the cure is now really easy to get. And yeah, don't waste time.
Yep. And you don't have to stop using or drinking when you're taking the treatment either. which is great, you know, because people think, oh, well, I got to change everything to get this thing cured. And you don't have to.
That's another one of these staunch lies they ride their shit behind, you know, just to keep us down. They knew it was a lie. The scientists knew it was a lie. They did tests way early on. They knew that it didn't matter what other substance was in your body. They just did that to negate. That's part of that Gilead thing I was telling you about. Maybe not Gilead, whatever. They made a business model, and they knew that if they charged $100,000 at first, they get a tier of people. Then after a while, they go, okay, we'll bring it down for the good people of America. The end result is by the time they drop it down to the last tier, they've already like quadrupled their money and then quadrupled it on the market. You see what I'm saying? They had to get 8x out of this. 8 fucking X out of this before it could be okay. Do we want pharma running our lives, you know?
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword. I mean, there's a lot of valid criticism of big pharma, but sometimes
This is a lot of help.
they make things that actually are cures and work well. I mean, I'm very pro-vaccine, but I'm also not a fan of Pfizer. You know, it's like, how do you balance both these things? But
Education. Read. Yeah.
And also just demanding, you know, people's autonomy and rights.
Right, there you go. I think doing these podcasts helps. You guys don't understand, like, our culture is one thing for our age, you guys. People are watching these. People are talking about these. People are into this mode of information. These need to be inundated and flooded with stuff. Like, after you do Narcotica, show where the people in their states they can get stuff. Or there's a database, and it's like the state of hepatitis, I think. It shows where every place in your state you can get stuff. Look at the National Viral Hepatitis Roundtable, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you aren't dealing with it as a syringe service program, if you're in harm reduction, you should have those chops. If you don't have them, you better get them quick, you know?
Yeah, we can have links to that stuff in the show notes so
Yeah,
people can find that.
absolutely, man. And Nick, you know, if people want to follow up and get in touch with you or work with you, find out more, how can they do that?
They can call Aaron Ferguson at 812. They can contact the union. They can contact Indiana Recovery Alliance. Really, I mean, I'm easy to find. You know, I don't hide, and I'm out there whenever we need. What I would say to everybody, though, like, all the things we don't think we can do, we can. Like, I've watched mountains move with just us. Just our little group moved fucking mountains. Just by being tenacious and honest. If you fucking hustle honesty, you can never go wrong. You know what I mean?
Hey, right, man. I'm so glad you do, and thank you so much for your time, dude. It's been really great. You know, Nick is just a real person. If you see him out there, he's going to be real with you, and I hope you do see him out there. He's everywhere. Thank you so much for coming on the call, dude. We really appreciate your time.
I love you, Aaron. You know that. I love you more than I can tell you. And Troy, thank you, man.
Really appreciate your time. I learned a lot from this, and I hope our listeners will too.
Thanks for listening to Narcotica, an independent production by Narco Media, co-hosted and co-produced by Troy Farah and Aaron Ferguson. I'm your co-producer, Aaron Ferguson. If you like the show, you can find out more at narcocast.com and support us by joining our Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/narcotica. If you're a patron, you also get free stickers which are personally mailed to you. You can also request a shout out on the show. And now patrons can even get 30% off of merch in our new store, which is at narcocast.myshopify.com. We have t-shirts and coffee mugs, one that says "There are drugs in here," which is awesome. More stuff will be added soon. As always, we're so grateful to the folks that make this show possible. A little goes a long way, so thanks for making Narcotica happen. We're ad-free and we want to keep it that way. If Patreon just isn't for you, that's fine. You can help us out by spreading the word. Tell all your friends about the podcast, advocating for social justice and abolishing the drug war. You can also rate us wherever you get your podcasts. Our theme music is by Glassboy, and Jenny Shea is the voice of Narcotica. Additional music is by myself, alias Nomad1, drug-using producer. Well, I guess that's all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Until next time.